The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
We got started early today just down the street at the Carolina Renaissance Festival, and after a long day of jousting and falconry, yes, falconry, it's time to get racing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for tonight's action, which this evening plays host to round 33 of the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series, and all 167 laps will be carried live as it happens here on the Global SimRacing channel. Yes, Concord still embodies the meaning of its name, harmony. And that sound you hear in the distance are the engines harmonizing on these Monster Energy Cup cars as they get ready for round 33 in the North Carolina 250 tonight. Welcome to the Tar Heel State. I'm Sean Ambrose, and alongside me in the booth this evening is Justin Prince, my buddy there, and behind the scenes we've got Joe Peak sitting in tonight, twisting and tweaking the dials, and our camera sets are, as always, are provided by the great one, Dougie Beard. Welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Justin, tonight we really begin our countdown to this season-ending finale. Another challenge lies ahead here this evening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. What can you tell the race fans about our track tonight?
Thank you very much, Sean. Of course, tonight we're entering this 1.5-mile circuit with 24-degree banking that has seen a lot of different action since opening in 1960. The Mecca of motorsports is the home track for many teams in NASCAR and, of course, the All-Star race in real life. And by next year, a Roval race. But for today's race, we're going to be seeing a lot of action on this hot circuit here in the daytime light at Charlotte as the action continues on. But to help explain what to expect on this 84-degree track surface today, here's your GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazek. This is the GSRC Chevrolet SS and this is Charlotte Motor Speedway. Fun little 1.5 mile oval, legendary, and does not need an introduction if you're a fan of NASCAR. So for your hot lap, swinging it real wide through the dogleg, going back down here into turn 1, off the gas a little bit, rolling back into the throttle. If you go back into it too hard, that sign right there on the wall is going to be waiting for you and knock the whole right front right off of the car. Turns 3 and 4, your braking marker. Some can drive it a little deeper. I prefer to let off right about where the dotted lines end. Really seems to let the car get a good set and a good bite into the corner. So, Charlotte, as the run progresses, you might see guys in 1 and 2 only venture way up here into this second and third groove. If it's the daytime, you'll see this. Nighttime, maybe not so much. But you get a great hole shot down the back stretch and can really set yourself up for a good pass going here into turn 3. Turn 3 doesn't quite have the same level of banking or the same grip level, and the high groove just, no matter how hard you try, never comes in. So swinging it down here through the quad oval, completing your line, and that will also complete our track guide around Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
A bad, fast trip around Charlotte Motor Speedway. This legendary old track. Boy, I'll tell you what, this is going to be an exciting one here tonight. First, though, before we get going with anything, let's jump to the points battle with our old friend Justin Prince.
Thank you very much. Of course, there is a lot of going towards this points battle coming into this week. Let's start off with their season standings. As you can see, Tommy Ryan is just 55 points back of your current leader in Brian Yazik. In third place right now is Nick Cohan, followed by Ricky Harden, who is 146 points back. Tyler Dalton rounds out that top 5 so far, with James Grahula closely behind in the middle of that points battle in the middle of the standings, with Thomas George in 7th. Jeff Ward, with his red-hot summer and fall, is currently in 8th in the standings after having long hot streaks throughout the year. Tim Johnston's in 9th, and Drew Carroll rounds out your top 10, 370 points back. Of course, we also have those fall standings, as I mentioned, with Jeff Ward currently on top of the said standings. A 33-point lead over Tommy Ryan so far this fall, coming out of Iowa. Brian Yazik is 76 points back in the fall standings, followed by Ricky Harden and the rising star in Brody Hayes rounding out your top 5. Tyler Dalton is just a point back of him in 6th, while Thomas George is 121 points back of your leader in 7th. James Grahula 8th, Woodrow Mahan in 9th, and in 10th is Devin Kennan. So some points battles developing as the season hits that home stretch with just 5 races left to go, including tonight.
Yeah, Justin, and well, tonight we have just kicked off qualifying here, this 10-minute session. A lot of cars out on track, about half the field rolling right now. You see Woody Mahan getting up to speed there in the Jewel, taking that blue oval around and getting her up to speed here. No one's completed that first lap yet. We just got started. We saw some great times in practice. It does look like Jeff Ward might be the man to beat this evening. Scott Eckrich will be racing tonight. He's here. Wasn't one of the faster cars in practice, but you never know. Practice speed, race pace, all different things. Justin, the tires this evening, they should be an issue, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they're definitely going to be an issue because this is a track where the tires will go fairly quickly. The drop-off by the end of the run is, on a green flag run, is about 2 seconds when you calculate it. So you got to make sure you manage your tires and make sure you don't burn them up in the first 10 laps trying to charge into the corner and going to the bottom, as you're seeing some of these drivers with qualifying with their hot laps. If you do that in a race, you're either going to bounce off that wall or, like I'm trying to get to, burn up those tires. You got to make sure you last the whole run.
Right, and 2 qualifying laps for everyone here this evening. Scott Eckrich on his second lap right now. He's already at the top of the board here with a 27.1 going around on his second lap now. Let's see how he comes out here as he heads into 3. Let's see how he gets off of turn 4, which is going to be real tricky for a lot of these drivers this evening. And, well, okay, I didn't cause that, folks. I'm not taking responsibility for that. Poor Scott.
I mean, it's not your fault at all because that's what happens, well, with partially with qualifying. But if you go too fast on the exit, that's going to be happening in the race. If you go on the gas, like even a fraction early, that's exactly what's going to happen on that tri-oval entrance, I should say, and it could lead to some trouble throughout the race.
Jeff Ward just completes his first lap. Goes with a 27.125. That puts him in second right now. Looking to take down Scott. Oh, and he backs off. He gets out of it there at the completion of 1 lap. So, Eckrich got his second lap in the book, but his first one is the one that held up. And Jeff Ward decides that maybe that lap was enough there. That'll put him on the front row provisionally with Eckrich. Troy Haight coming off. Haight qualifying his first lap there was good enough for 7th. Here's Ricky Harden. Ricky, this will be Ricky's first lap coming around. Already get his out lap in. This will be his first time lap. Let's see how Ricky Harden can go here. The Carolina driver was pretty fast there. Was it fast enough?
Yeah.
Okay, that must have been his out lap. So he fooled me.
I think to correct you there, he did have 2 incident points. He might have possibly tapped the wall on one of the exits on the coming towards that, but you can see he's positioning himself well on that bottom side for a good exit. It's not going to be as fast as that first lap, but it's still, as you're seeing, good enough to get him to 6th.
Yeah, that was still a pretty good lap indeed. Now, a lot of Carolina drivers in this race tonight. Bit of a home race for these guys. I'll run it down for you here real quick. Tyler Dalton, Ricky Harden. Who else? We got Tommy Ryan, Justin Rodden, Jonathan Lawrence. Oh, Brian Yazik there, not a Carolina driver there, going to 6th with his first time lap. Let's keep an eye on him going around as he heads down the backstretch here. Looking for max speed heading into turn 3. Then you've got to just really hang on to it here. It's kind of a wing and a prayer as you let it drift through the center of that turn. And boy, watch out for that wall there in the exit of turn 4. Yazik going to come across. Is it going to be any faster?
No, it is not.
Not quite. Not quite. Wow. So Yazik searching for the speed, couldn't find it. And we'll have to deal with right now provisionally 6th. I see Harden back out on track, but Harden's got both of his laps in.
Yeah, when you see drivers running around on a third lap like that, that is just, of course, wanting to get some confidence going, especially guys like Andrew Jones that you're seeing as he bounced off the wall to start off his qualifying run. He's going to want to, he's, of course, reset as you're seeing here to get himself positioned well, as this is just his 7th start on the season.
We'll see what kind of speed he gets here on his first lap. At this point, though, I think we're pretty good to go ahead and call our NP3 Designs Pole Award winner, though. Scott Eckridge going to be the man this evening. Break up a string of MP3 Design Pole Awards that Jeff Ward had been getting. Scott Eckridge is the man tonight, so as they go to their pre-race meeting, we'll follow Scott here around for this lap, Justin.
Yes, and it appears we started off with the out lap. As you're seeing, it's about getting as much speed as you can get out on the exit of 4 to set up the start of the lap, as well as throughout the lap. As you're seeing, he's getting it on that middle high line, making sure he times it out just right on the exit, gets to about a 197, 198 for that start and finish line. Then as soon as he enters that trial, enters turn 1, 2, he's got to let off, of course, for a small bump and make sure he gets it to about 184, 85, then back on the gas, make sure he doesn't go too fast to go off the wall. Then again, let off, maybe a slight break through into 3, go to the bottom at 4 to position himself for the fast run, and then, of course, the good exit on 4 to set up the back at 197, just like that for the start and finish line to get that pole.
What a great run, and that's a 27.105. So nice run there for Scott Eckridge. Congratulations on your NP3 Designs Pole Award. And as they complete and start to wrap up this drivers meeting, I'd say now we probably go ahead and go down trackside to the 440th Army Band from right here in Morrisville, North Carolina, for the national anthem this evening. And we're back on track here for the Charlotte Motor Speedway, ready to go here in the Patriot Fire Cup Series this evening, the Premier Racing League. Welcome everyone. It seems like there was a bit of a change in the poll. I don't know. We'll see how officially they line up, but it as I see it, Eckrich will still have the pole, so we'll move on from that. But real quickly, it was in the woodshed today, and I had a couple of picks. I say a couple picks because I didn't really nail down a winner this evening. But man, Jeff Ward's in this race. I'm picking Jeff Ward. Okay, he's already won here. But watch out for Brian Yazik tonight. Yazik maybe looking for a little redemption, maybe looking for another win. But Yazik very, very good on these 1.5-mile tracks. Could be his night, Justin. What do you think?
Well, you also have Scott Eckrich in this race as well as somebody to watch, so you got to see if he's going to be a major factor, of course, again, with that current pole position. And when you look at the standings for the World 400, he and Ward were pretty competitive during that race at that time, but now it's a different race. It's a different factor. It's not nighttime like it is in the 400 in Miler. It is a daytime race, a different kind of track. We're going to see how they handle it here as we get to your grid.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and go to our grid for this evening's race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it will be Scott Eckrich on the pole this evening with Jeff Ward there for row 1.
On row number 2, it's Jonathan Cadell along with Devin Serra.
Row 3 going to be Tyler Dalton and Brian Yazik.
In row number 4, it's Ricky Harden starting alongside the Pearl Jewel in Woody Mahan.
All right, row 5 going to be Troy Haight and Tommy Ryan.
Justin Rodden starts off in row 6 alongside the 59 car of Andrew Jones.
Row 7, Jonathan Lawrence and Tim Johnston.
In row number 8, number 9, Adam Blattell, as well as Thomas George on the outside.
Row 9, Devin Cannon, Rich Jetty.
Row 10, it's Matt Murphy alongside Gerald Livingston.
And the last row in this 22-car field is going to be John Wilco and our final Carolina driver in the field, Stephen Herring in the number 98 Dairy Queen Special.
Yes, it's a definitely good field here, about 22 cars, 22 I should say, in this field. So it's a pretty in-depth field. Some drivers popping in for the first time in a few weeks in some cases. Cadell racing for the first time in a month and a half. He's going to be in a great spot. So we got a lot of people, I think, to watch today on top of the favorites.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are definitely a few wild cards in the field, as you were alluding to there. So we are seeing Scott Eckrich given an EOL penalty, so he'll be dropping to the back of the field. And some of these drivers may be electing to do that just on strategy. Maybe anticipating a little bit of early carnage here at Charlotte. This is a hard track to get settled in on. I'll be very honest with you. So, maybe starting at the back and letting the race come to you a little bit, not such a bad idea. It is 167 laps this evening as we go around and get ready to go green.
Yeah, it's a long race. The fuel runs are about 55, 60 laps, give or take. So you're going to see at least a couple pit stops and strategy going on in this one. So you have to make sure you get going early as well, so you're not half a track behind once things start to even out and space out. So it's going to be a lot of strategy playing out throughout the start of this one.
All right, Justin, here we are coming to green. Jonathan Cadell will now lead this field off. 200 miles tonight, 167 laps. The American Pool Supply Halfway Award at lap number 84. Here we go as the pace car peels off. Motors start to wind up, and there goes Cadell on the pedal. He screams across the tri-oval into the start-finish line. Cadell breaking away early. Jeff Ward trying to slip in behind him, but Tyler Dalton not going to make it easy as Dalton holds that low line. Gets just out in front of Ward. Now it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch for both of them. But in command, Jonathan Cadell, the Steel Horse Racing machine, is off to a good start. That Camry getting out of turn 4. Got to hold on to it here. He's going to lead lap number 1 of 167. Jonathan Cadell with a great start to this race in his Toyota.
Yeah, an absolutely great start on that one as well, especially for Ward as well, getting the pass on the outside of turns 3 and 4. As the outside line is a good line, of course, to try and make those passes. But of course, he's going to have a lot of space. It's going to be hard for him to try and catch up the start of this to the old clean air that Cadell is seeing right now.
And Devin Serra putting a lot of pressure on Tyler Dalton right now. Both of those Chevrolets very, very close on track. Ricky Harden just behind them. They basically have gone line astern throughout the field. You've got to go all the way back to Matt Murphy and Thomas George battling for 15th position right now. That's 14th and 15th on track. Oh, and Murphy's got to be careful. He's up in the wall. Getting a little bit of that yellow paint down the right side of his Toyota. That's going to open it up for Scott Eckrich, and Eckrich is going to get by.
Yeah, that's the case of going too fast on entry and going too high, of course, on entry, because it is good to get high on the entry, but you don't want to have that happen, as you're now seeing the results of that. Now he's going to have to try and hold off Wilco.
Back up front, Jeff Ward is starting to reel in Jonathan Goodell as they come around there for the completion of lap 4. Goodell has reeled him into just 0.2 of a second. Those two start to pull away from Tyler Dalton just a bit. Dalton still looking for that elusive win this season. This could be a big night for him. The Carolina driver would love to see himself at the top of the podium. But these two in front of him right now off to a great pace as Ward and Ward and Goodell pace this field. I said 200 miles. I meant 250 miles this evening, folks. This is the North Carolina 250. Yeah, Ward gets a great run here. You're on board with him. He's going to get down to the inside, down the backstretch. Into 3, he's going to take the spot from Goodell.
Yeah, Goodell, in that case, he just had to let him by because you need to go into that bottom side to get a faster exit to keep up to the pace, and he just figured it's too early to battle it out. So he just let Ward go on by, go with the smart play, and work to get the lead later on.
Yeah, now the only problem is for Goodell is that his car is going to obviously handle a little bit differently now. Doesn't have the clean air. He's going to have to work with this air that Jeff Ward leaves him. Try and stay in his tracks. Try and keep the down force on the right front of that car so she'll continue to turn. Got to be careful here and not fall victim to Tyler Dalton. Ward already starting to pull away here, though. He's got it to 0.3 of a second as he heads into turn 2. Brian Yazek with a pass. He takes 5th from Devin Serra.
Yeah, and that pass took just about half a lap, just about. That was just going through that tri-oval, coming out of the tri-oval for that move. But now you can see he's on the move at the 28 flat last time around. He's got one of the fastest laps already on this green flag run, running the same pace as Jeff Ward out front. You did say to expect to see him run out front, and now we're seeing that exactly happen now. You can see he's got good exit speed. He's been able to get the entrances done the right way. Now it's just getting the consistency as one of his teammates, Woodrow Mahan's trying to get by Serra now just behind him.
Watching this battle on screen, Tim Johnson, Andrew Jones almost make contact there at a turn 4. It's Andrew Jones on the top side. Going to get the advantage here on Tim Johnston. Johnston's got to slide in behind him. Andrew Jones up a couple of spots already. There's Tim Johnson still down on the bottom. Going to run him here down the backstretch so he can get to turn 3 first. It's going to be Andrew Jones this time. Watch out for that pink and black car just behind the 27 of Justin Rodden. Running a special paint scheme there for Cancer Awareness Month back there. Another Steel Horse Racing driver.
Yeah, and you're seeing on screen Andrew Jones just got passed now by Johnston just like that. He just could not get to the bottom for the exit to be able to hold on to that position. So right now you're seeing that shuffling going around and around, and it doesn't help that Scott Eckrich is right on behind him and Bottel. But you're seeing Jones is really struggling on that exit, going down to as low as 171 miles per hour on that corner alone, which is, even with the tire fall off, pretty slow compared to some other drivers. He's just not getting the same exits.
Eckrich makes contact with Bottel. Makes contact with Bottel and he hangs on to it. Oh, and he's still spinning. Keeps it down below the white line. The caution is not out. Eckrich is safe. So is the rest of this field as they continue on. But the contact with Bottel here on the replay looked like Eckrich's car maybe started to run up the track there just a little bit. Those two had been racing in tight quarters there for about a lap and a half.
Yeah, it looked like that Vettel just exited a little lower than usual, then it just ended up with a hip check kind of situation. But now Scott's just got to run as long as he can with that front end a little bit damaged. And meanwhile, Cadell's going to have to hold off the pack.
We've got a mess back here. Brian Yazik holding off this field, Devin Serra and Ricky Harden in a battle. Tommy Ryan and Woody Mahan just behind them. Serra trying to hold this car down on the bottom. This Chevrolet just trying to stay stuck to that white line. Does not want to get into Ricky Harden up there up top. Harden's got Woody getting up right behind him. And then Harden going to the bottom of the track, then back up. Harden's all over the place right now. Now he's finally back in front of Tommy Ryan. Slides up the track and cuts Woody Mahan's momentum off. Whoa. And Ricky coming on the radio saying, sorry there, he just about wrecked the car. Got very, very loose on him.
Yeah, just not a great situation. As you're discussing that, it was about a lap and a half battle with Tyler Dalton just to get by Cadell. No, it was just the matter of making sure he got the momentum on that low line to be able to hold on to position. Now Cadell is slowly sliding on back.
Ricky Harden struggling with his car right now. Very, very loose. Just trying to hang on to it. Ricky also in a special paint scheme this evening, supporting our buddy Bryce Whitson and his struggle with cancer right now. But, man, Ricky going to need a little bit of help here. Woody Mahan got the preferred line down there on the bottom. He's going to get by him and clear that position finally. Woody up to 7th. Dropping Ricky back to 8th, the spot back.
Yeah, it just looks like his car's he's fighting with that thing, it looks like to me, because the way it seems to be bobbing a little bit on the exit especially, just trying to find any kind of grip or speed to hang on. It's going to be very hard to hang on with a loose car right here, as you're seeing here. That bump, if you go slightly too fast or still are on the gas, that's how you get loose and burn up those tires, and he's lucky to hang on to that lap.
All right, let's run down the field for you here real quick. The top 10, Jeff Ward is now out to a 1-second lead, and Tyler Dalton holds on to second. Now, he took that away from Jonathan Cadell and is now sits there in second. But now third, Jonathan Cadell is under threat from Brian Yazik there in fourth. Yazik looking to set him up for a move here. Good battle to watch here on screen. It's Devin Serra back to fifth. Tommy Ryan, Woody Mahan battling for 6th and 7th. Ricky Harden, Troy Hayton, Tim Johnston round out your top 10. But Yazik, as we said up here, really giving Cadell a run for his money. Cadell just getting a piece of the wall coming out of turn 4. A little bit of damage on the right side. Not much, but a little that's going to allow enough for Yazik to get under him and go by. Brian Yazik up to a podium spot now.
Yeah, in that situation, I did mention if you go too fast on the exit, you hit the wall. That's exactly what happened. That time it was just a light tap and it lost him a spot. But if any bit faster, and it would be major trouble. It just comes out of you, that wall, where you do not even see it until you're in that wall, Sean. So you just got to time it out, and Jonathan Cadell got that time.
Dalton really was hanging it all out there coming out of turn 4. Car, really, that's probably the worst spot on the track where it seems to just really come loose. Is coming off the top of turn 4. You're carrying so much momentum there, and it's a balance of carrying the momentum and trying to get back to the throttle through the tri-oval. And just behind them, it's Cadell now fighting with Devin Serra. Serra looking to get this position. Cadell continues to move back through the field here. Cadell almost loses it coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, we're 22 laps into this green flag run. That's where you're starting to see a lot of these cars loose, especially on a warm track like this. The track temp is at 84 degrees, as I mentioned in the pre-race.
Okay, let's go back to Thomas George. Just moved up in front of Tim Johnson. I mean, took the nose right off of him. It was close. Thomas George holding on to this 10th place spot right now. Good to see Adam Blattel back in the field tonight. Back there riding in 12th. He's up 3 spots. Trying to get a run at Tim Johnson here. These three hooked up. There's a good battle in front of him. Ricky Harden trying to hang on to his spot. Troy Haight trying to take it away. Harden seems to have kind of gathered it up just a bit after struggling there. But Troy Haight, he seems to get his program together too. Troy might have been saving a little bit there on that first run because here he goes, looking to the inside of Harden. George getting a run from behind here, Justin.
Yeah, and he just got, I think, a little too much of a run going in. He had to check up a bit, and that opened up the door for Thomas George you're seeing here. And he's going to have to give up that spot because he's stuck on that high side. You're seeing a difference in lines, though. Harden's going for the low line through 1 and 2 still with the worn tires. Haight has been going through the high line and then diamonds it a little tiny bit for the exit. But now, if you're not in that position to get your kind of exit, you get passed like that with Timothy Johnston for 10th.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the line more dictated by the what you've got left in your tires right now. Thomas George been working his way up through this field. He's up 8 spots, taking his spot away from Ricky Harden. That's going to put him up in 8th. After starting in 16th, Thomas George has done nothing but knock down these spots. He's our big mover of the race right now. Harden having to get out of it a lot sooner there than George. George able to drive that car through the center of the turn. Can he hold it off of the wall here in turn 4? He does great. He brings it across the start-finish line. There, that is a 26-lap run on those tires, and Thomas George, all that work's got him in 8th. That's a long way to go. The Woody Mahan knows 1.2 seconds up the track. Woody all by himself, though, he could be a sitting duck.
Yeah, and it's still a long ways away to get to your leader in Jeff Ward, so you just got to settle in and make sure you just focus on your rhythm. It's that kind of a race where when there's that kind of a distance, you just want to make sure you keep hitting your marks and do not forget to hit them or try and push it too much to try and close the gap. That's exactly what you're seeing with Thomas George, just settling in and focusing on that single file lineup.
I'm sure most of this field would probably like to see a caution come out at this point. Scott Eckridge would be one of them. Here's the good news for Eckridge. He's still running very competitive laps. Who's having trouble?
Yeah, just as you were discussing that, on lap 28, coming out of turn number 2, Rich Jetty lost control after tapping off the wall and was able to save it. Now he's coming down pit lane, and he's spinning down pit lane, in fact, right now into the wall.
Oh, boy, that does not end well for Jetty.
Yeah, let's see what triggered it. It's a little tiny bit before what we're seeing there, as we're going to see what happened here. It's going to start off coming out of the trioval we're seeing. He's battling with Gerald Livingston right now. This is near the mid-back pack, and then he just loses that control at a turn 2, tapping off the wall, saved it down the apron, and then the disaster continued down the pit lane, as you've seen, where he hit that wall on the entry. So just a decent save turned into absolute disaster. No front end on that nose now for sure.
We've got a battle for second going on here up front. Devin Serra has found Tyler Dalton. These two Chevrolets are hooked up now. Serra getting a good run out of turn 2. He's got the momentum coming down the backstretch here. He's going to get that fender on the inside. Now gets that full door up alongside him. They go side by side through the center of the turn. Serra, oh, is he clear? Not clear, not clear. He does not slide up in front of Tyler Dalton there. That's a good move. Now he finally gets the position. That's Devin Serra up to second. Climbing the ladder slowly but surely. Jeff Ward still in control of this race, but has not really gone out to much more of a lead at this point. He's still only just about a second in front of Devin Serra.
Yeah, he's just gone into cruise control, getting things settled together. Jeff Ward did say during practice that the setup felt good to him, but it did take time, of course, to get to this kind of pace. As you're seeing, it does take time to make sure you get comfortable with your kind of setup. Unfortunately, that doesn't sometimes account for worn tires. As we're discussing that, though, Jonathan Dell was dropped out of that top 5 because his car bobbled out of 2 with the handling, because these tires are getting very worn on his machine. started off on that front row, now dropping all the way back, and he's going to have a long ways away until Woody Mahan and Thomas George reach him as George takes that position from Mahan.
This field has really, really spread out on track.
Yeah, it has. I'm sorry for cutting you off there.
No, I was just going to say Scott Eckrich at the back of this field right now, 21 seconds. So our leader has about 8 seconds behind Eckrich. The good news for Eckrich is he's still fast. He's still just, he's only about a 1/10 of a second slower than our leader. Oh, there goes Tim Johnston taking his pit stop. Oh, trouble in the front stretch. Devin Cannon in the grass. He's got to keep it down there below the white line. Can he do it? Oh, he slides back up on track. Livingston coming through. Going to get by, no problem.
Well, that was a little bit scary as we're going to see the GSRC replay. Gerald Livingston mentioned that scariness as we're seeing Cannon through turn 3 and 4 right before this happened. And then you're seeing he had a decent exit on turn 4, but it's just coming out of that trioval, just absolutely just turned it too sharp and just took a nice little shortcut. He got a bit loose. Let's see it on board.
Yeah, not exactly sure what happened because, like you said, he clears turn 4 fine. It's not until he gets down here in the trial that the rear end starts to slip around. Maybe just a little too hard back to the throttle. Hard to say. But boy, what a save by him. That results in Devin going to the pits. Tim Johnston back out on track from his pit stop. Now that would probably, Tim would probably qualify as the first of the scheduled pit stops that we've seen. He's going to screen by Matt Murphy here. Matt Murphy currently in 13th.
And I think, pardon me there, Ricky Harden's going to be your second scheduled stop. As everyone's decided, even though it's lap 39, 38, 39, may as well get some fresh Goodyears on there.
Well, you wouldn't mind getting a caution, but you don't want to be the caution. So if you're really not feeling those tires anymore, it's probably a good idea. Ricky Harden misses his entry to his pit box. That's going to be tough. Time lost down in that pit lane. Jeff. Seeing there that the boys in the Ricky Harden box are wearing plaid. Their overalls, that's an interesting color choice. Listen, up front, it's turned into a race. Devin Serra has caught our leader, Jeff Ward. I think we're seeing right now a car getting to the end of its run, close to the end of its run, and Serra, Dalton able to reel him in. This has gotten real fun all of a sudden. We were focused on some other things there for a minute. In the meantime, Devin Serra found the legs to catch Jeff Ward. In fact, that last lap, he was just about 4/100ths faster. Serra getting a nice run off of 4s, got him lined up.
Yeah, we're seeing here Devin Serra. He's fast, Ward's faster, I should say, through the middle of the corner in the entry, but the exit, which has really been helping Serra, has been his better standing point compared to our current leader. He's just able to get out of the corner better than Ward, as we're seeing. Just, you can see Ward pulling ahead slightly, then going and having to sled off slightly more, and Serra just able to get a tiny bit more gas to get that slightly faster time, as we're seeing there. Ward got it slightly faster this time because he didn't get as strong of a turn 4. But that is helping Serra catch this, close up this gap fast.
Okay, we got a lot of drivers starting to make their pit stops on this pit entry off of turn 4. Not very easy. You've got to be very careful here. The pit lane comes up very, very short. It's right there at the exit of turn 4. You really have to start getting that pit settled by the entry to turn 3 to do it safe. A lot of our leaders coming in. Ty Dalton's in. Brian Yazik's in. Tommy Royan, Troy Haight, Andrew Jones, Matt Murphy, Gerald Livingston, all getting their services done now.
Yeah, I think everyone's decided to just go a little bit shorter on the strategy. This Tower Dawn is going to lose a tiny bit of time. He just about missed his stall and lost probably about a half a second because of it.
Not good for Dalton there. Yazik's going to get by him. Now, I'll tell you what, we talked about Tim Johnston earlier being the first car to come in on what we thought was a scheduled stop at that time. Johnston, for his effort right now, finds himself in 12th. Now he slots up to 10th, up to 9th. Everybody in front of him still needing to pit.
Yeah, and maybe he's thinking, if I can be able to be the first car to pit and have some fast tires, I might be able to close up the gap enough to be out in front by the time the other drivers pull out of the pits. He's the first car lap down too in case there's a caution, so he would be in position for that lucky dog at this point. But let me just say, if that ends up being the strategy, what if he can't hold off the leaders with the tire fall off? He's got about a 5 to 10 lap difference right now between some of these cars, which could be something we see to become a factor once it becomes another green flag run as he goes on the outside of Sarah.
Oh boy, we've got to be very, very careful here because he's coming by our race leader now, Jeff Ward. Got to make these passes clean. Don't want to cause a lot of disruption for your opponents there. You got to remember, they are racing on the lead lap and still in the lead. Johnson able to clear both of them. Sarah seems to have backed off just a bit now on Ward. Both of them looking to get to this pit stop clean here.
Speaking of clean pit stops, someone did not get one of those coming on entrance. Adam Littell spinning sideways on his pit entry just a few moments ago. As if we can get the replay to explain, he's back up and going in his stall, but he almost lost control, in fact, and almost spun into the infield as we show it right here.
Hashtag Adam Littell, the AMSOIL driver, struggles on his entry. I talked about how short it is getting to the entry there of pit road. That's going to be something to watch here in these green flag stops. Jeff Ward going to take it back around, though, still in the lead. 48 laps on track for him. So Ward definitely playing the long game here. Sarah going to stay with him. Woody Mahan bringing his car down into the pits. The Loud Pedal Motorsports Jewel. There she comes. Got to hit that box perfectly here. Don't lose any time, Woody.
Yeah, he hit that box perfectly enough. He got a little tiny bit slow on that, and obviously it's a 4-tire strategy at this point. It's way too long of a run if it stays green to try and even mix up a two tires at all here.
All right, here come fast cars with fresh tires coming by our leader, Jeff Ward. There goes Brian Yazik. Going to be Ricky Harden right behind him. Harden coming through here on the exit of turn 4. It's a really tough spot of the track to have to pass somebody. It just seems to get really narrow through there. It's not narrow, but it's kind of deceptive when you've got somebody riding next to you. It's really kind of hard to figure out how much track you've got left. Here comes the number 6, Tommy Ryan, navigating his way through the leaders. Ryan's going to get by. Now the time difference on these laps, it's almost 2 seconds. Justin, I'm saying?
Yeah, because the lead cars are running about the low 30 second range to as high as 30 and a half basically right now. The fastest cars right now in fresh tires, they're running 28 flats, 28 twos right now, navigating this lap traffic. That's how big this fall off difference is. So it's about a lap and a half at the moment. And there's still a few cars that still have to come in, about 6 in total, give or take. 5 in total, pardon me, still have to bring it in. And like I said, the fuel run is about 55, 60 laps, a little bit more, in fact, I believe. So they might be just running until it goes empty to minimize their stops.
You know, look on the board here, everybody who has to still get in the pit, and Scott Eckrich being one of them. Eckrich still on this lead lap and has still needs to come in for his pit stop. course, if we were to get a caution right now, it would do nothing but help Eckrich. Ward trying to get back some get through some lap traffic now. And he backs off. Almost got into the back of John Wilco there.
Yeah, and I
Here
think
he comes.
he's finally bringing it on in. Lap 55. Fourth coming at 55. So 54 laps on this run is enough with everybody else coming in. Well,
Sarah going to come with him.
Yeah, my thought process might have been, if I was Sarah, maybe try and get a bit of a slight difference. But, of course, if you see the leader, monkey see, monkey do, follow them along. You don't want to end up being the caution just in case or run out of gas.
Justin Rodden comes down the pit lane just behind them. That is going to put Tim Johnston into the lead of this race. Tim Johnston, who was the first of those cars to come into pit, but that was a long time ago. Tim Johnston, 20 laps on this run for him. Tim, 13 spots up, finds himself in the lead of this race. The USAA Toyota Camry, right now winning it on strategy. He's got 1.3 seconds between him and Brian Yazik. Picking up Yazik on track. Yazik will get the lap time difference here. Yazik closing very fast right now.
Yeah, just as we started showing this shot of Johnson and Yazik, there's a 1.3 second gap. It's already down to 9/10 of a second on that exit right there. It's about a 4 or 5/10 of a second difference per lap time right now. So Johnston, if he wants to keep this lead, has to try and hold on quickly. It's either block like crazy or go the conservative, let the faster guy on fresher tires go on by. I'm going to be curious to see what the strategy call is. Of course, it's only lap 57.
Yeah, and they've got about 8 laps difference between their tires, and I don't know if this is skill versus setup versus tires, but Yazik just seems to have the better pace right now. And I mean, his last lap was, about a half a second faster. Half a second here at Charlotte Motor Speedway is an eternity.
Yeah, and it's already down to 3/10 of a second. Johnston just cannot get the same speed or the exit line as Yazik, as you're seeing. So I think, as you brought up the what could it be, I think 50% tires, 50% skill. That's exactly why Yazik's going to go to the bottom and get this position, hopefully on the exit. Or not.
Oh boy. They made a little sighting coming off of 2. Yazik going to hang out here on the bottom though. And he could just drive through the center faster than Johnston can right now. Obvious there. He's going to slide right up in front of him, break that momentum a little bit more. The Blue Oval going to win that trip around. Yazik now the leader here of the Carolina 250.
Yeah, that's going to give Yazik a lot of space, because we keep mentioning Johnston in the tire difference and the speed difference. Just on that quarter entry alone, on these quarter entries, Johnston's going down about 5-6 kilometers an hour, or about 11-12 miles per hour slower, just about, if my math is going correct, and it's probably very off. But basically, he's letting off big time to make sure he handles the car more smoother and make sure he doesn't get too loose. That's why you're seeing the gap. But we still have cars on fresh tires that did go much later, like Jeff Ward, as you're seeing on screen.
Our leader, Brian Yazik, coming around. Matt Murphy, going to put him a lap down here. What do we got?
Devin Cannon spinning in turn 2 right this second. Scott Eckrich almost got into the back of him before Cannon went to the bottom. So Cannon, with some more bad luck, let's see your GSRC replay as he's going to spin it again as we show it on the apron down the backstretch. But here's what caused all the mayhem. As you'll see here, Troy Haight gets on by. He just gets too high, a little bit too high, bounces off the wall twice. Then Rodden helps and finishes off the job. Now he's a smoking engine and a barbecue, because he also lost control with the worn out tires and hot tires down that backstretch, as you'll see in about 3, 2, and just about 1. His day's just about done.
Yeah, and Justin Rodden was the car that clipped him coming by, and that really crunched in the front end of Justin Rodden's Ford, already struggling. That's going to make this race a little bit longer for Justin, as Jeff Ward just got by him. Justin's going to need to make sure to keep track of those gauges and watch for that car possibly overheating. He's got some pretty solid front-end damage on the car. So, we got the pit stops out of the way. Let's run down the top 10 here in the field. Right now, your leader is Brian Yazik. Just took that position away from Tim Johnson here a couple laps ago. Yazik having a great run here. One of the guys that we said was certainly capable of winning this race tonight. Tim Johnson holding down second. He's coming up on Matt Murphy here. Matt Murphy a lap down. Johnson with a good solid run up 12 spots here in second. Tommy Ryan in third. Ryan's recovered pretty well, up 7. Behind him, Tyler Dalton, after his little bit of trouble, he's doing all right. He's stuck here in 4th. A solid run here going, though, and a good competitor this evening. Then we're going to go back to 5th. And it's Ricky Harden holding down the 5th spot on track. Ricky's had some struggles, but you know what? Top 5 right now. The car looks to be good and straight. That's important. Continues a good run for him. Then we'll go back to 6th, our pole setter, Jonathan Goodell, the Steel Horse driver this evening. Down 3 spots, currently sits in 6th. And we'll go to 7th. Troy Haight having a good run tonight. He's in the top 10, up 2 spots in 7th. Being hunted down by Jeff Ward right now. Ward going to be there in just a moment. Ward sits in 8th. Still trying to pick spots back up. Devin Serra in 9th. And Woody Mahan in the Jewel, the Loud Pedal Motorsports Jewel. Wow, I couldn't get that out. Sitting there in 10th. That's your top 10 right now. Although Thomas George picking up the spot on Woody Mahan. Woody having trouble hanging onto the car. They're coming out of 4.
Yeah,
that got a little tense, Justin, didn't it?
Yes, it did, because here's the thing. Thomas George went about 2 or 3 laps before Devin Serra and Jeff Ward went into the pit, so he's still got about a half a second difference between that 12 machine and his car. So it is a major difference in speed to make sure you get by him cleanly for 1 and 2. To hope that the car that you're passing that's on more worn tires is able to hang on. And in that case, they did hang on. So that is a nice, good move there, really, from George to move into the top 10 again.
One of the best battles we've got on track right now is for second place. Here comes Tommy Ryan up alongside Tim Johnston. Tommy Ryan goes across the line. Will take second from Tim. Slides back up in front of him, goes into turn 1. Your second place car. Here comes Tyler Dalton getting by Tim Johnson. He's trying to drop him. Johnston up right near the wall. Oh, that was close. Tyler Dalton thanking him for letting him by. Tyler Dalton now gets the run here on Ryan.
Yeah, Johnston, he's going to have to come right on in just like that, because he was the first car to come in the last time, run lap 35. So it's coming obvious his strategy's about 35 laps per tire run. So it's an interesting strategy. We'll see if it pays out as this battle for second's going on screen.
Yeah, it's a good one here. Tyler Dalton gonna hold the advantage here. Just able to send it in a lot deeper than Tommy Ryan was. Jeff Ward's got himself back up to 4th. Still a ways back, though. Jeff Ward a full 5 seconds back from Tommy Ryan. Yazik continues to open his lead just a little bit. He's 3.39 seconds on my timing and scoring. Well, look at what you see on screen there, though. You see him somewhere in that 3.3 to 3.4 range. Yazik just really hooked up right now. We are fast approaching the halfway point of this race. Big points involved here for Yazik.
Yeah, especially as the points leader, this will really help him out if he's able to hang on to this gap and this lead, because if you're Tommy Ryan, you needed him to be in the back basically for much of this race, especially that halfway mark for those bonus points. And unfortunately, Ryan, of course, in that position to lose said points. So he needs a caution or something to close up this field or something to try and get a shot to get back into a chance to get a positive gain.
Yeah, and Yazik not leading the fall points, the fall segment. So currently sits back in third. So, I mean, this is a good spot for him to pick up max bonus points here, get himself just a little bit closer. Nothing is said and done with in those in the fall championship series here.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having not just the overall championship, of having those segment championships, because you have cases like Jeff Ward where a driver comes in the middle of the season and turns out to be a dominant driver. You also have a Brody Hayes like we're seeing in this fall season in the 10 machine, who is not here tonight, unfortunately, who's been the same case. If you are a new driver, you want to have a chance to win a championship at the very least. You don't want to be hampered by a late season start.
There's Jeff Ward on screen, fourth place. Certainly has time to still get this done, but Jeff not picking up much ground here. Still over 6.5 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, and as this tire run continues to go on towards this halfway point, Andrew Jones is in the pits because we mentioned the exits coming out of the corners being a major factor. He tapped off the wall in two and basically was on the apron for the whole entire lap. He's going to lose a ton of time, as you see a fair amount of damage on that right side front end, especially aerodynamically. But that's the case there. Cars are trying to just barely hold on. Rich Jetty was able to hang it on coming off the apron on two just a few laps ago, for example, and he's running consistent laps now behind Tommy Ryan. So everyone's just at this point just trying to hang on for the halfway point.
You know what? I did find a battle here. Stephen Herring trying to take a spot away from Jonathan Lawrence back in the pack here. That was a battle for 16th. Herring takes it away from him. Both of those cars on the same strategy. So Stephen seems to have left a little bit here on those tires. He was able to pull off a very, very fast move. The Toyota Camry Blizzard machine. Ah, yes, Blizzard. I don't have a Dairy Queen close to me, though, unfortunately. I have to go all the way to Connecticut if I want a Blizzard, Justin. Granted, it's only 35 miles away, but a body of water separates me from Connecticut, so not as easy to get to as you might think.
Why not just swim across the water just to get to your Dairy Queen? If you want a Blizzard, I think it's worth it if you want to swim.
Might be. All right, Thomas George, Jonathan Goodell going at 4th place. Goodell has finally caught him. He's been working on this for about 4 laps. George trying to hang on in his Pepsi Chevrolet. Goodell seems to have lost the momentum a little bit there.
Yeah, you can see here Thomas George using that low line, not touching that white line, of course, because you don't want to end up tapping it on the worn tires, but we have something going on with Jeff Ward at the moment.
Yeah, he's trying to overtake Ryan here. And he's going to do it. Jeff Ward getting by Tommy Ryan, picking up 3rd. Now Ward is up on the podium. Tyler Dalton not that far in front of him. Ward definitely seems to have things in order finally. Now remember, he went really, really long on that first pit stop. Ward got about 12 laps fresher tires on his machine. He is now starting to pick up ground on him. Those cars slowing down. Tyler Dalton slowing down. Brian Yazik slowing down. Yazik had a pretty good run going. That's fallen now. That gap down to just over 4 seconds. Okay. Justin, it's time. It's time. It looks like Yazik's going to hang on here. You're going to have to get around, complete one more lap. And he will be our American Pool Supply Halfway Award winner. Tyler Dalton not going to catch him here at this point. Tim Johnson, though, the faster car, been in the pits just a little while ago. Going to complete a pass here on Yazik's. Got to do it clean. Yazik's just got to hang on for this one lap.
Yes, at this point, Jeff Ward, even though he just got by for second place, I don't think he's going to reach him in time at this rate with how big the gap is that Yazik made with his strategy and having a fast run. So you're going to see him get those halfway points right here. 10 more points to add on to his totals. The American Pool Supply Halfway Award. And what a run. And now he's going to have to hold off the run of Jeff Ward. 3.3 seconds. 3.4 still. Down to 3.3 now on those fresher tires with a longer run as everyone's coming in.
That's right, American Pool Supply. Hashtag the pool is clean. Congratulations, Brian Yazik. As we have several drivers in the field deciding to come down the pit lane now. I really think you can get this race done with 2 more pit stops at this point. It just depends on who you are and where you are in strategy. Jeff Ward right now could run for about another 20 laps and realistically put himself in a window of maybe trying to run this race out on 1 more pit stop. We'll see. Dalton, Ryan, Harden all in right now. Yazik, your leader, still on track. Going to pass all those positions sitting in the pits.
Yeah, and everyone's going to fall basically to about a lap or 2 down just about, as Dalton is the first of that group to come out right in front of Tommy Ryan.
Yazik making the call. Woody Mahan coming into pit lane now. Yazik making the turn off of turn 4. Hits the line at speed. Boy, and the dominoes are falling here quickly, Justin. A lot of cars calling for their stop now.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing in terms of strategy. Jeff Ward also coming in right on behind him. So trying to match the strategy of the leader, essentially, because Ward did go in the longest as he overruns the stop slightly, but it is just enough for it to be in service. But I guess he just wants to keep up with Brian Yazik because, as you've seen, Brian Yazik had a huge gap. Even with him pinning before Ward and Ward having the fresh tires, Ward does not want to let that gap up. That's probably what's going through his head right now and wants to match the skill to battle for this lead.
Well, Devin Serra goes to the lead of this race. The Fred J. Moyer Plumbing machine is in the lead. Thomas George is up to second. George finds himself in the top 5 again. Tim Johnston in third. Scott Eckridge now up to 4th. Eckridge only 1 pit stop under his belt. Not bad for a guy who started at the back of the field and had trouble. But he's getting passed now by our leader, Devin Serra. That's going to leave...
Yeah,
that'll leave three cars on the lead lap. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out here. Is Serra going to complete this pass on Eckridge? Boy, that was close.
Yeah, it's hard to get this. You're seeing Eckridge, of course, still running fairly well, but that front end is still smashed in from hitting that inside wall on that incident near the start of the race. And that is really hurting the speed you're getting as well as possible motor damage. Because the revs on a normal engine, you're going to have about 1,200 revs per minute if you hold in the clutch, for example. If you hold in the clutch with damage, it's going to be, of course, less than that. And, of course, that's becoming a factor here as Brian Yazik already zooming right on by.
Yeah, Yazik getting this lap back. Getting back on the lead lap. Going to complete a pass here and Serra to do it. Tommy Ryan coming through right with him. Those two will fall to the end of the line now. And remember, they just came off their pit stop. I would estimate at this point they're still going to need another one to get this race done. 75 laps, a little bit too far out for them to make it. Jeff Ward coming through and getting by Serra now. But it's still Devin Serra hanging on to the lead of this race. Thomas George in second. So don't get confused by all these cars passing here. They're just getting back on their lead lap. Sarah, obviously a bit of a sitting duck in the lead, yes, but a couple of seconds slower than the cars that have just pitted.
Well, he did go on just about the full fuel run to lap 55 before he pit with Ward the last time around. He's probably sticking to that strategy. You're going to see him very likely come in if he does not decide to go sooner at that 109, 110. If he sticks to strategy, just stick it out.
Right now, Yazik and Tommy Ryan, it looks like a battle, but I almost wonder if maybe they're working together a little bit here, trying to be like unofficial teammates here on track. Two cars, maybe a little bit faster than one, as long as they're not fighting. Both of them great pace right now, working their way back up through the field. They find themselves at the end of the tail end of the lead lap. Making up time is all good for them at this point. Even if the yellow was to come out, they'd still be on the lead lap. And right now, if they can just be as fast as they can, they continue to pick up time on the guys in front of them. When they have to pit, this is going to be nothing but good for Yazik and Ryan. Jeff Ward not too far behind Ryan, just 1.6 seconds. So it won't be long, and maybe Ward can catch these two and be a part of that little party that's going on up there, and it'd be a good thing for him too. Sarah now, though, 42 laps on this run.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say with this kind of run, if you go in now, you're going to not be in a great situation. I think he's just sticking to that strategy, as we discussed, really. The same for drivers like Thomas George, and as we've seen throughout the race already, Tim Johnston. So we're probably not going to see a change for the lead for another at least 10 laps here. It's just got to be Devin, Sarah, and Thomas George hanging on as much as they can before it becomes too late and too far of a gap. Here's the advantage, though. When they come at the pits, they might be able to zoom their way back to the lead lap in case there is a caution.
Yazik is a second a lap faster than Tim Johnston. That's not going to bode well for Johnson here, as Yazik on a mission here to get this all back and get it back now. Sarah our leader just getting past there about Jonathan Goodell. It was kind of a close moment there. Jonathan coming on the radio apologizing there, Devin is cool as a cucumber right now, though. No problem for him. He's got it dialed in. I'll tell you what, the car actually still looks great for 45 laps on it, to be honest with you. His line looks solid. I don't see him having any trouble here on the exits. He's very disciplined right now with that Chevrolet.
Yeah, especially with these worn tires, and he's still got a while to worry about those lead cars. They're still 17 seconds back, the cars with fresh tires. But as you said that, just to mention things here, Tim Johnston sticking to strategy again, going in for a third time in the first 100 laps, just like that.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there was a mad scramble just in front, behind that. Thomas George had John Wilco coming up on him, and George checked up a little bit. Matt Murphy almost got into the back of John Wilco. That could have been a mess there right in the middle of the front straightaway. Let's check out the replay of that, because boy, things got very interesting off of turn 4 for them. There's George up on the top side, the number 24. Wilco down there on the bottom. He just makes that little bit of contact with Matt Murphy. And Troy Haight was right there behind him. That could not. That wouldn't have been good for Troy.
Yeah, that was the case where Matt Murphy was somewhat behind of George, holding up momentum on the exit. And then, of course, you have Wilco going in full speed and then having that situation. So it is a good situation, though, to come out clean, is what I'm trying to say here at this point. But with Thomas George, he's been seemingly trying a bunch of different lines, even on these worn tires, but it seems like he's fighting that thing at this point on lap 109, as we see her battle on screen.
Boy, Brian Yazik in a perfect situation now in third place. He's got nobody behind him, Nobody in front of him but clean air. He does find himself right now 12.5 seconds behind the leader, but he's gaining on that leader at a tune of about a second and a half a lap. And it's clear sailing for Yazik right now, who will still need another stop, but you know what? So do our leaders. So, you know what? Things really, really looking up for Yazik as he continues to just pick up ground on him.
Yeah, because when you started that sentence, it was still in the 12-second range, this lead. It's gone down to 11 seconds. And just a few laps ago, I mentioned it was 17. That's how fast he is on that tire difference now. It's up to about the 35-40 lap difference. So if you're Devin Sarah, pardon me, I'm bringing it in just about a couple of laps. Your strategy is coming up. You got to bring it in. There's no way you're going to hang on to it now.
We only have a couple of cars behind the wall right now. That would be Justin Rodden and Adam Blattel. Everybody else still in the race. 20 cars on track.
Yeah, it's been a relatively clean race for today, especially here at a track like Charlotte, where the race is just zoomed on by. We're already reaching almost an hour of green flag.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but I got to go to the action here. Jeff Ford, Tommy Ryan on track for position. They are side by side and fighting. Battle of the bow ties coming out of turn 4. Door handle through the tri-hole. Tommy Ryan got the edge, crossed the stripe into 1, but Jeff Ward going to take it back down below, going to move up the track, try and break Tommy's momentum. Tommy going to try and cross him over here, going down the back stretch. Tommy's going to have to slip in the line. Jeff Ward up to 4th. Just 2.2 seconds behind Brian Yazik.
I was kind of thinking Tommy Ryan was going to try and push the crossover move with Ward going and sliding up the track on that strong entrance into turn 1. But of course you're seeing with that going in there, just wanting to, just unable to really get the same exit as Ward had to be able to keep up, and now he's falling behind. But guess who's in the pits? The number 20, Devin Sarah.
Yes, he is. Sarah calling for that pit stop. 53 laps. That was what he got out of it. Thomas George going to go to the lead. George going to call to pit next time by. Keep an eye on Brian Yazik because he's got a lot of traffic to get through here. Coming up on Thomas George and the 64 of Gerald Livingston, who's blinking quite a bit right now. That's pretty scary for Yazik. Yazik into the lead. Going to come across the line here with 58 laps to go. Brian Yazik leads this race. The North Carolina 250. Yazik still a little bit close to Livingston. A lot closer than I'd like to see him. Finally gets past him and clear.
And Brian Yazik summing up the situation with the blinking car with Livingston in the perfect way. It was gnarly to get on by. So, and he's estimating, jokingly, I think, at 700 blinks he's seen from Livingston, because he's had this issue since practice.
Yeah, it's got, I would agree with gnarly, with the description of gnarly. It's gotten pretty bad for Livingston. Might want to consider getting that car off the track. One car off the track right now is Devin Cannon. The motor finally let go on the 83. He'd been struggling. He was running a Whelen modified out there. Somebody in the wall back there, was it Jonathan Lawrence maybe? Right in front of Brian Yazik, Jonathan Lawrence. The push was real.
Yeah, it just looked like, as we're seeing at the start of the replay here, we're seeing in 1 and 2, going down that backstretch, and then you can see, I think it's just he either hit the brakes too hard or just could not slow it down enough, because he just shot up, hit that wall and bounced off of it. He's still going and was able to avoid any major damage really, but just absolutely just locked it up really on the entry and just could not recover really, to the point where he's lost a lot of time.
Okay, now so basically on track, your top 8 right now, all on the same pit strategy. One more pit stop will get it done from get it done for them. And you've got Tim Johnston back there in 9th. Okay, now Tim is still going to need another pit stop to get this race done. Now, who doesn't need a pit stop? Well, Devin Serra. It looks like Devin could probably stretch this out if he wanted. He could certainly try as he goes by Brian Yazik. He's going to get back on the lead lap. So Serra right now with a strategy that would put him out here really long, but maybe could put himself in a situation to be out there long enough to win this race if he can hold off the faster guys. So Serra running with a pretty decent strategy here. We'll see if it pays off for him. Thomas George also on that same strategy, so we'll keep an eye on those two. But Yazik is still the leader right now. Jeff Ward now 1.2 seconds back. Tommy Ryan falling back a little bit further. His car starting to slow down, almost 30 laps in on those tires.
Yeah, it's falling off enough for 0.2 of a second in difference between your top two and Yazik and Ward. Make it 0.3 that time around, and Dalton's right at that same pace as the leaders. So he's going to have to fight hard just to keep 3rd spot with that bit of a tire difference on the Ward tires. But Jeff Ward, he's slowly closing this gap. It's just outside of 1.2 seconds, bounce between 1.2 and 1.3. So if he continues that consistency, I think he's going to be able to catch up very quickly. He's just got to make sure, as he's done what he's done all race.
Does appear that Scott Eckrich's connection got the best of him. He's disconnected from the event here. So, a little bit of attrition here now. Cannon's out, Justin Rodden's out, and Gerald Livingston now out of this race also. Rich Jetty going to be the last car in the field.
To correct you there, Scott Eckridge, of course, is usually a part of race control. Scott Eckridge officially disqualified Gerald Livingston for his connection issues. To correct you there, I apologize for that there, but just to make sure that's correct, Gerald Livingston is the 3rd car behind the garage area.
All right, well, Yazik still in command. Jeff Ward, though, starting to close in just a little bit. His tires starting to take over. Dalton here picking up Tommy Ryan. This is probably one of the better battles right on screen now. Dalton trying to get a look at him here down the back stretch. Can he get a wheel in going into the turn? He certainly can. Dalton dives low. Oh, got it handling again. Really, really good through the center of the turn. He's able to make a turn down there on the bottom. Gotta love that. Tyler Dalton with amazing grip down there on the bottom of the track, coming out of turn 4, able to make it stick. Makes it stick into 1 here, right in the center of the turn. Boy, Yazik Dalton really with a good car right now. It seems to be handling better at 34 laps on track than it did when he only had 10 laps on it. So Dalton really handling his machine best over the long runs. This should help him here. We've got 47 laps to go when we come across the line. And I'm not even going to bring up the obvious here for you folks who are watching since the green flag dropped. Tommy Ryan still in a good spot here. He sits in 4th.
I think
several wanting to know what that was.
I think Rich Jetty and Scott Eckridge down the backstretch. Let's take a look at the replay to see what exactly happened there. Apologize for the slight laugh as some of the reaction of what just happened here. Let's see it from Eckridge's point of view above him from the blimp. You're seeing Jeff Ward there, Eckridge on fresher tires. You're seeing then Jetty on, and then my goodness.
Yeah, that was almost sure disaster. Back live, though, Yazik in the lead, getting passed by Scott Eckridge. Eckridge down a lap. Actually, Eckridge down a couple laps, getting one of those back now. Now here comes Thomas George driving through. George also trying to get back on the lead lap. This will get him back there. He'll go to the end of the line. 11 cars on the lead lap now. Obviously, Yazik starting to fall off here just a bit. Thomas George only been out there for about 12 laps on his tires. Ward is closing into a second now.
And this is getting to where a lot of traffic could be what helps Ward catch right back up to Yazik, because before the lap traffic negotiations, it was about 1.3 seconds. Still, it's down to just 0.9 of a second of a gap. So he's probably thinking in his head, I want Brian Yazik to be slightly held up a bit by trying to maneuver these lap cars and use a different line. Because if I'm able to cut through as fast, if not faster, I'm going to close it right in. That's exactly what's really helping. Unfortunately, though, Yazik does have to clean air as Matt Murphy's around.
Yeah, Matt Murphy with big trouble getting into that pit entry. I'm going to pick that up on the replay. Several cars coming in now, but we'll watch Matt Murphy's entry. Probably decides to come in a little bit late there. You want to drop that car below the line, actually, just as you get out of turn 3. He's coming in hot, too hot, and has trouble getting that thing loaded up. As you saw Tommy Ryan coming in right behind him. Now Tyler Dalton is in. Tyler Dalton making his way down the pit lane here as we come back live. Some of the heavy hitters starting to bring their cars in for their last pit stop. Dalton got to be perfect here. Can't afford a mistake now. All right, go back to our leader, Brian Yazik, going to stay out on track. Yazik pushing, trying to put as much distance as he can between himself and the rest of the field. Not putting any distance between himself and Jeff Ward yet, though. Ward 0.8 back, closes just a little bit more every couple of laps. These two on the exact same strategy right now, 2 pit stops. Both came in at the same time. They are married to their strategy at this point. They don't have enough to make it to the end. They will need another stop. Devin Serra, the real one wild card that we speculate might be able to make it. He sits in 3rd. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a close call, really, because he went in at 107. The race, of course, is 167 laps, so he's going to have to try and see if he can somehow stretch it to 70 laps, hold in the clutch or something. And then, on top of that, he's got to hold off drivers.
Yazik talking some of the traffic through right now. Andrew Jones coming by.
Yeah, and some of those cars now bringing it in. Woody Mahan coming in as you were discussing that there just now. Wilco following him right in.
Yeah, and that traffic playing a little bit of a factor, like you said. Jeff Ward still at 0.8 of a second. Not able to advance yet. You see Eckridge right there on screen trying to get by Troy Haight. Finally able to make the pass complete. Back to 6 cars on the lead lap after this last cycle, or continuing cycle of pit stops. Tommy Ryan still sitting in 7th. Tyler Dalton just behind him. Those two on the same pit strategy right now. We know they can make it to the end.
Yeah, this is getting interesting to see which strategy is going to come out on top. Everyone's been able to hang on to it as Jeff Ward is in, as you said.
Yes, he is. And Devin Serra is going to come around, get past him, and go to 2nd. Ward gets in perfectly.
And Brian Yazik, as you're seeing, is going a lap later, seeing Ward coming on in. So I feel he's betting on being able to get a faster stop in, a faster delta overall on this pit stop compared to Ward and come out right in front of him.
Jeff Ward rolling off the pit lane now, merging back up on the track as he comes out of turn 2. He'll do that in front of John Wilco. Wilco getting the run down the backstretch at Jeff Ward now. Ward still trying to get that Chevrolet wrapped out. He's going to do it here, coming off a 4. He'll get her going and have the speed to stay in front of Wilco. Jeff Ward going to move up to 7th as he come by. Tim Johnston in the pits.
Yeah, Brian.
Gaining on Yazik coming out here. Yazik coming out of the pit. Ward's going to get by Yazik. Ward screams by down the backstretch. Yazik going to lose a little bit of time here on that pit exit. Now Yazik up to speed. He's going to close in. The momentum rolling there. He's going to get by Wilco here. Get under him. Down through the tri-oval. Yazik into 7th. Just mere seconds. 5/10 of a second behind Jeff Ward. So, Yazik with a flawless pit stop. Able to really hold serve here. Keeps himself very, very close to Ward. He's going to have one lot better on those tires than Jeff Ward. These two will be fighting to the end. Everybody in front of them except for Tyler Dalton. Now, got to pay attention to this. Tyler Dalton, he's good. He's already been in for his pit stop. He is sitting there in 5th place, and he's got 4 seconds on Ward and Yazik right now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gap, but it could easily be closed on fresh tires, of course. So it's going to be hard for them to hold off these two on rocket ships. They're running 27.7s, 27.5s right this time by on their fastest laps, and currently they're running some of their fastest times up to 27.8s this time by, I should say. But they're going to have to hold on quick. It's still, even though they're in the 28.3s and 2s right now, that's going to close within 5-10 laps, that gap. But getting back to that point with Yazik, I apologize if I'm swinging back and forth. You're right about Yazik having that extra lap, of course, because Yazik might be thinking that might be the one difference that he needs to get in front of Ward and win this race. It's just a matter of hoping it stays green and hoping the strategy comes through. As you're seeing, it's somewhat helping because he is getting slightly better exits with those one lap fresher tires.
Well, they'll have to get through Tommy Ryan and Tyler Dalton. I don't think you're going to give them anything.
Well, you could give them the position.
Yep, and Yazik gets by Ward there. So move Yazik now up to 5th. Still a little ways to go to catch Tyler Dalton. Just under 3 seconds. But that gap is, in fact, closing. So Dalton, Ryan, kind of looking over their shoulders just a bit here. See Yazik and Ward start to come into their picture. All Ward's got to do is really kind of try and hang on to the toe of Yazik. He'll be fine. We've now come under 30 laps to go. It'll be 28 this time by. Folks, this race is just screaming by this evening. We've had a good one. Lots of action here in the Patriot Fire Cup Series. The North Carolina 250 underway. We've come all this way, 140 laps.
Yeah, now it's coming the question of, does Devin Serra be able to keep the gap? Of course, he has just 2 pit stops on the race, and he's trying to stretch out fuel as much as he can to a crazy 70 laps. 60 laps, thank you very much. But basically right now, he's going to have to hold on as much as he can. Hope he does not run out on the white flag lap. It's going to be close. It should be just enough. It's just now managing the tires and managing those super fast cars on fresh Goodyear tires right on behind him, 10 seconds back as George. But then you have the rocket ships.
Yeah, he's got it. Managing the traffic, I think, is going to be a real issue. Devin's going to have cars continuing to come through. He's going to have to be very, very, very careful about that. Know that the guys behind him chasing, they're going to have to fight through that same traffic. So hopefully Devin able to clear that as well as the rest of them. Only Devin really knows at this point whether or not he can make it. Anything we say is purely speculative, but he is rolling a big set of dice this evening if he wants to get that victory. But the Fred J. Moyer plumbing machine definitely up to the task this evening, as he has led a lot of laps here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and still has about a 10.5 second lead on Thomas George. George not able to pick anything up here so far. Now, Yazik, though, starting to close this window on Tyler Dalton. A little bit more every lap. Tyler Dalton still chasing Tommy Ryan. So we've got the Michigan driver chasing down the Carolina boys, trying to put himself on this podium, maybe set himself up for a win. Yazik been so dominant this season. Him, Jeff Ward, the more the same. Right on board Yazik, you see Dalton and Tommy Ryan getting by Scott Eckridge there. Boy, what could have been for Scott Eckridge tonight. He's fought hard, but a little bit of damage on that car picked up early has made it very tough sledding for him. But here comes Yazik. What a run by Yazik across the start-finish line. Lots of momentum off of turn 4. He has pulled up to Tyler Dalton.
Yep, that's what happens when you have fresher tires. You get more speed and better exit speed than on very worn tires, because now those cars are all closing up to Thomas George. So that means once they catch all these guys up, catch up to Thomas George, pardon me, that is going to be interesting as Thomas George hits the wall.
He does. Wow. Getting out of the way. Jeff Ford coming through, just barely gets by Thomas George there. Boy, that got kind of exciting. Yazik, after a couple laps there working on Tyler Dalton, finally gets by, though. Yazik on the tail of Tommy Ryan. This for second place. Tyler Dalton doesn't look to be done with Yazik yet either. These four really, really hooked up on track right now. Thomas George struggling and dropping through the field. Ward up alongside Tyler Dalton, side by side. They head into turn 3. Brian Yazik shooting the hole there on Tommy Ryan. Yazik up to second. Ward up to fourth. Looking for more. Ward looking to the inside of Tommy Ryan. Into one. He's got it. Jeff Ward now up to third. Devin Serra, you better drive like you stole it, baby, because here comes the crew. Couple of Chevys led by that blue oval there of Brian Yazik.
Yeah, now that it's just lap cars between him and, of course, that lead, Devin Serra, that gap you're seeing is closing fast. Now down to 9.7 seconds. This was 10.1 for a few laps, of course, but it's now at the time where you need to ignore the clock, essentially, because if you look at that scoreboard, you're going to end up overdriving the car and making the situation even worse. So he's got to focus at this point and then focus on the rear view mirror if he sees them coming zooming on by. But at this pace, Yazik's going to be on that back door by 8 to go.
Yeah, we shall see. Yazik definitely closing on him now, but with 17 laps to go here when we get to the line, baby, it's time to boogie. Drop down the disco ball. Let's have a little party here. Serra in the lead. Can he hang on? 42 laps that time by on his fuel and tires. Serra right now looking to take this home. Yazik a little bit faster every lap. In fact, that lap was one of the faster cars on track. It was 5/100ths of a second slower than Devin Serra, actually. So Yazik not quite as fast that time, but has dropped that gap to 7.3 seconds.
And make that 7.1 as he gets another decent run coming into the tri-oval here. And he is hungry to get a victory here with Jeff Ward getting a lot of those victories recently. So he's going to want to get right back up to him, especially with the tire difference. Maybe it's at this rate, it might actually be slightly possible he reaches there maybe a lap sooner or two than that prediction of lap 8, but just got to keep it going.
Yeah, and Serra in a pretty bad spot right now. Actually, having to kind of battle a little bit with the lap car of John Wilco. Not really battling, but up alongside him, losing just a little bit more speed, having to compromise the car and drive a different line, and that brings it a little bit closer now. Now Yazik closes it into 5 seconds, just under 5 seconds, and still closing. It's a very tentative 14 laps to go.
Yeah, and he's hungry for a win, that's for sure, Sean, because with this point, even though he's been the overall season points leader, he's definitely hasn't been in victory lane for at least a good while.
Well, tell you what, nothing settled for Brian Yazik. He's got to remember who's behind him. That's Jeff Ward, another 1 mile-and-a-half specialist. Ward is not done with Yazik. Might be sitting back there lying in wait just a little bit, maybe trying to save those tires a little bit for one last charge. Yazik got to be careful to not use it all up yet here. Maybe Yazik has a little confidence right now, or maybe wants to have a little confidence in knowing that Devin Serra probably not going to make it. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be really, really close here. It'll be 11 to go here across the line. Serra right now on a 47-lap run. It'll be just under 60 laps, and he's going to have to try and run that car out too. We'll see if it's possible. I think he's going to need a little help, though, to get that done. I'm going to be really honest with you. Jeff Ward coming out of turn 4. Really, really close moment with Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones sitting in 13th. Jeff Ward coming through to put another lap on him. Ward gets by and continues his charge here to catch Brian Yazik, but loses time because of that move. Falls back to almost a full second.
Yeah, this is the time where you do not want to make a mistake as a driver or want to see your car lose control, essentially. But now you're seeing this gap down to 1.7. It's officially on a racing by that 8 to go mark. So if you're Serra, I think it's to the point where you're going to have to block like crazy if you want to stay in front, which could be a very dangerous move, but still, if you want the win, you got to fight for it.
Yeah, the problem is Serra's got really old tires left to fight on. And, right now I'd want to get a good finish as opposed to wrecking the car, so Serra might not fight too hard when Yazik and Ward get there, but right now Serra, for now, is still the leader of this race. He's going to have to battle with a fellow Michigan driver to hold on to that. Yazik still on the come. Here now, 0.6 of a second, closing it in, out of turn 4. He's getting a big run at him. Might catch him here on the backstretch after a turn through 1 and 2. And we get to that 8 laps to go mark, and as our director so masterfully called it, 8 to go, and Yazik has caught him down the backstretch. Look at this run. Yazik's getting into turn 3. Yazik right up on the bumper there. The blue oval going around the top side. He's going to shoot the top side on Devin Serra. He shoots the top side, comes out of 4, able to hang on to it and pull off the pass on Devin Serra for the lead. Brian Yazik is now the leader of the North Carolina 250 with 7 laps to go.
He definitely went for the block. He definitely did not want to lose that lead. Unfortunately, with the worn out tires, it's starting to lose control, but you see it bobbled out all right in front of Ward. He's going to fall right out of the top 2.
Now, Jeff Ward going to begin his assault on Brian Yazik. Here we go. Ward already kind of picked it up a little bit, got himself just 6 tenths behind Yazik. Oh, did Ward get a piece of the wall going into turn 1? Looked like he might have just bumped it a little bit getting into turn 1. Let's watch the replay going into turn 1. I think you're going to see Ward explore the boundary of the track here. He'll get through 4 and down through the tri-oval clean. But as he gets into turn 1, the car comes all the way up the track, and it does get just a piece of the wall here on entry. Boom.
Yes. If you look at the very back end in this situation, there is very tiny sparks coming off. That is how much he tested out the limits. We unfortunately did not see it on the replay there, but he just barely touched that right rear quarter panel. That is how tight it is on this track with 5 laps to go.
Well, you can get away with it for sure, and Ward still 6/10 back on Yazik, and he's going to need some help here. Devin Serra has given up the ghost. He is pit. Serra now coming off the pit lane in 9th. Troy Haight behind him. Troy Haight coming around, going to pass him. That's going to drop him to drop Devin Serra to 10th. I think Serra's going to be able to hang on to that 10th spot. But back up to the front, it's Brian Yazik in the lead. Jeff Ward still chasing. Does Ward have anything left for him? He's closed it down to 5/10. Half a second here. 2.5 laps to go as we head down the backstretch here to North Carolina 250. The Patriot Fire Cup Series. 2 laps to go. Who's going to win this thing? Brian Yazik has not had a win here in the Cup Series for quite a while. Looking to get another one. Hold on to his point lead. Make a little run up the ladder in the fall championship. He's got to hold off Jeff Ward, one of the best to do it. But boy, I'll tell you what, the Blue Oval 55 HPP simulation Ford does look to be the machine to beat this evening. Ward still digging back there, just doesn't have anything for him. Does not look like there's a run left in that car. They come around with 1 lap left to go. Ward looking loose off of turn 4. Yazik looking dialed in. Thomas George in front of him. I don't think he's going to get there. I don't think Thomas will be a factor before he gets to the line. Yazik screaming down the backstretch into turn 3. Here he goes. Brian Yazik with a little bit of strategy and a lot of skill, and maybe even just a hair bit of luck. We will go wire to wire, green to checkers tonight in the North Carolina 250. Brian Yazik, your winner. Jeff Ward with the big second place finish. Tyler Dalton going to take home 3rd tonight. Tyler Dalton on the podium once again. Tommy Ryan with a solid run getting home in 4th, and Tim Johnston fight as he may. He'll take home 5th. Wow, Justin, what a race and what a run by Brian Yazik. Boy, it was his race to win tonight.
Yeah, just got the right strategy, really, and I think what really pushed him over that edge was, as we discussed when the pit stops happened, he went a lap later than Jeff Ward. That was enough of an edge tire-wise to be able to stay out in front of Ward and keep the same gap. And you've seen on that last lap, Ward dropped down to 0.7 of a second. It was just enough of a difference, I think, plus his pace, plus his skill, to come away with a strong victory, Sean.
Well, the Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series does not disappoint tonight in round 33, the North Carolina 250. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some interviews, folks. Welcome back on the Global Sim Racing channel. The Premier Racing League Patriot Fire Cup Series just wrapped up round 33 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And whew, brother, that was a good one tonight. Let's run down your results. Brian Yazik, the big winner tonight. Jeff Ward going to bring it home in second. Yeah, Jeff Ward finishes second in a race. Tyler Dalton, third. Tommy Ryan in fourth. Tim Johnston going to finish fifth tonight. Look at those Carolina drivers. 3 of them there in the top 5. Jonathan Cadell will finish sixth. Rough evening for him, but does still hold on to a top 10. Ricky Harden, Carolina driver, going to finish 7th. Thomas George in 8th. Good night for him. He came up 8 spots to finish there. Troy Haight going to finish 9th. And Devin Serra, boy, he was leading that thing there coming down the stretch, but he did need fuel. Devin will be a top 10 runner, though, tonight. There, Justin.
And he came out in front of the guy who finished 11th tonight in Woody Mahan. The last car lapped down, even with his early struggles in the race, hitting the wall. He still came away with a 12th place finish. Scott Eckridge. John Wilco finished the first car 2 laps down in 13th, followed by Stephen Herring and Andrew Jones. In a season where he's seen 4 DNFs in his 6 starts coming into tonight, comes away with a pretty competitive 15th place finish. Matt Murphy also 3 laps down at 16th. Jonathan Lawrence 17th. Rich Jetty had some troubles throughout tonight, 53 laps down in 18th. Gerald Livingston, due to connection issues, finished his night off early, 19th, 57 laps down. Devin Cannon rounds off that top 20, 88 laps down with a lot of trouble and bad luck throughout this run. And the last 2 on your scoreboard are Justin Rodden, 99 laps down, and Adam Patel with his big struggles early on as well in this one. But man, oh man, the first green to green race we've seen with no cautions whatsoever tonight since Daytona in June 2016 last season. The first caution-free race of the year overall for the Cup Series. Definitely a competitive one.
All right, it definitely was. And, well, I think it would be appropriate to talk to our winner first this evening since, well, he hasn't picked up one of these in a little while here in the Patriot Fire Cup Series. Brian Yazik, congratulations, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, welcome back to Victory Lane, man.
Yeah, it's been nice get back up here in the Cup Series and park it back down there in Victory Lane. That's a pretty awesome feeling.
Hey, man, and, you know, in the fall standings, I mean, you're sitting there in third, 76 points out coming into tonight, trailing who is a very dominant Jeff Ward and Tommy Ryan, who's been very strong here in the fall as well. You get a big win, and that's really, really going to help in the fall championship series.
I think so, Sean. We're in Carolina. So I'm gonna pull one out of the bag here, and I know Amjad's gonna be screaming at me here in a no, we got. Oh, okay. Well, the guy in the booth, Mr. Joe Peak, is gonna scream at me, and it's and anybody from the Carolina area is gonna know this. To be the man, woo! You gotta beat the man, and tonight we beat the man.
Woo! I'll give it a big woo too. Yeah, baby. That. So we'll run this. You running this for Rick tonight? Was this one for Rick?
Yeah, I'll dedicate this one to Rick Thompson. I love Rick. Rick's good people. He's a arguer by nature, so he and I always get back and forth, but then we always talk, privately, and everything's fine again. So I'm not too super upset about it.
Well, buddy, I got to tell you, that was really, really fun to watch. A lot of strategy at play tonight. Of course, when you have a green flag run like you boys had this evening, green to checkers, strategy is definitely going to be at play, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, especially when, you kind of hit it right on the head. You get these things that run green, and that's, it kind of falls that way and it lends its way. I was rooting for Devin, staying out there, and I knew it was going to be a real tight window from where he pitted at the end of it. And I thought about trying to do that long stop strategy, but when we got 25 laps and 30 laps into the run, and the tire wear or the fall off was every bit of 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. I knew that wasn't the right way to do things. So we just kind of settled into our rhythm, and I knew about 40, 45 was going to be kind of where we wanted to go and where we wanted to pit. For the first part of the race, we were just trying to keep Tommy Ryan behind us. Tommy ran a hell of a race. He's a hell of a competitor. We gave up some points back to him last week at Iowa, which made me upset because that was one that I thought we could stretch that lead out. But, we kind of settled into a rhythm here in our HPP simulation Ford Fusion. And I stumbled on a little way to run here when NIS and A Fixed was at Charlotte a couple weeks ago. I was watching and just kind of experimenting with some stuff, and something clicked, and I couldn't wait to get back and see if it worked on the Cup side, and sure enough, it did. And it wasn't great, 0 to 10 lap speed, but it was great 10 lap and on speed. The fall off wasn't as drastic as some of my competitors. So that was really what we were focusing on, especially when it had the semblance of the long runs that we were looking at here.
Well, Brian, it's a great run. You extend your overall championship lead by another 11 points over Tommy Ryan. So you give yourself a little bit more cushion there with the win. That puts you up to 5 wins this season, buddy. And and there was a pretty good gap in between. So this has got to feel good. We're going to let you run off and celebrate, my friend, and give Jeff and Tyler a little chance to talk here in a booth with us. All right, my friend?
Yeah, I know I always run long. I get full of excitement on that one. So I know you guys got another broadcast to get off to, but
you deserve it, man. You deserve the excitement. No, go out and celebrate well. And this is another reason that we should rip those rookie stripes off of that rear end of that car before the season's over.
Yeah, I think so. We should get them off of there, but it kind of adds to the mystique. It's kind of fun by the end of it. But really quick, thanks to HPP Simulation for putting the logos on the car, Loud Pedal Motorsports, for putting the machine on the road. And in all seriousness, we keep thinking about our buddy Bryce Whitson. He's winning the battle right now with leukemia, which is always a good thing. I know Ricky was running the special scheme.
Yes.
So in case anybody out there was maybe curious, I don't know if you talked about it in the broadcast or not, but Bryce is doing pretty good. We're all thinking about him, and we'd love to get him back on the track at some point. And so this one's for him. And we'll head on down the road to Talladega next week.
Oh boy! And what could possibly go wrong there? Jeez,
everything and anything.
What he said.
All right, Brian. Hey, congratulations, buddy. Enjoy the celebration this evening. We'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
And that was your big winner, Brian Yazik. Now, I believe we have caught up with Mr. Jeff Ward, our second place finisher tonight. Justin's got him down there in the pits.
Yes, we do. Jeff Ward coming away with a second place victory tonight, just 7/10 behind of Brian Yazik. So, Jeff, of course, you had a strong car for much of this race, but what exactly happened in terms of strategy that, and in the end, it just was not the way it turned out to be in terms of what you probably had in your mind for Victory Lane tonight?
Yeah, Justin. First off, congrats to Brian. He's a heck of a driver and a good teammate, and I'm glad to see him get a win. Even though I think he's got 4 this season. But yeah, man, we was hurting right off the bat on that first stop. I was kind of thinking about doing that 2-stop long strategy, and I got out there and I did it on the first stop, and I come out and I was like, man, I'm not getting to where I need to be. So I caught back up to Brian and Tommy, and I decided to pit right when they did. Of course, when we did, we was already behind the 8 ball a little bit, 1 or 2 seconds back. So I was kind of playing catch up the rest of the race. And there at the end on that last pit stop, I thought I'd let Brian go since he had 1 lap fresher tires, and I was actually saving the heck out of him, watching him drive off. And then he never fell off. I never was able to get back. Started to close a little bit, but wasn't able to get back to his bumper, and of course brushed into a lapper there once and might even get me some damage. But it was a hard fought battle. Like I said, I'm happy to see Brian get a win there and get one for the team. Yeah,
I was just going to ask about basically with the having what you know what exactly I'm trying to say with what I was going to ask, but of course, one thing I think that really also put a wrench in everyone's strategies was it going the first full caution-free race in about a year and a half. What was going through your head as the race went on, with it continuing to go green lap after green flag lap?
Well, usually whenever these things go green, it kind of benefits my driving style because I usually got a pretty good tire wear going into long runs. And if we would have pitted on the right sequence as the other guys did on that first stop, I think we had 2 or 3 seconds on third, fourth place. So I think we probably could have held on to the lead most of the night if we would have started out on the right sequence. But like I said, that just got us behind there. But that happens, man. Sometimes you hit the strategy right, and sometimes you don't. Tonight we didn't. But I'm still happy with second. That's good for segment points, which we're trying to cap off here, and we'll keep digging at it.
You're definitely having a strong fall segment, that's for sure, as we have 4 races to go on the overall season. Of course, though, with everything else, we're coming into next week at Talladega, where, as Brian Yazik put it best, anything and everything will happen. What do you plan to do as a driver in that kind of situation, going from the 1.5 miler of Charlotte, of course, to the madhouse of Talladega, where one bad move could take out just about everybody, to put it simply?
Yeah, I'm really not a fan of the super speedways. It just it's really out of your hands as to how you're going to run, because like you said, you can get involved in something like that and really put a damper on your point standings. But I'm anxious to get past that and get to Martinsville. I think we got Rockingham coming up. Plan on hopefully running strong at those 2 short tracks, and getting back on the short tracks will be fun.
Yeah, on short tracks where you're able to do a lot of long runs, as one of our viewers suggested it as it being you being a long run boy. But just to finish things up, do you have anyone you want to thank, sponsorship-wise or whatnot, for your second place finish?
Yeah, thanks to Loud Pedal Motorsports. It's been a blast running with them guys this year. Thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. As always, I like to thank my dad. He always watches these broadcasts when he gets time. So thanks to him and friends and family.
And thank you very much for your time. Jeff Ward finishing second place tonight here at Charlotte. And a good run overall from him. And we go to someone else with a good run. And I believe Sean Ambrose just caught up with him.
Tyler Dalton, another podium finish for you, and another jump up the ladder in the points. You move up to 5th, buddy, with that run tonight in the overall season standings, and I think you're going to gain some ground in the fall standings as well, and move up in front of Brody Hayes. So what an evening for you. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, that was definitely a good run for the team. I'm not sure I could have got much more out of that. I felt like I ran that race about perfect. I was not real fast on the short run. I was saving my tires, and it sort of came in at the end. But having to pit, the way the strategy worked, having to pit after about 42 laps, it seems like didn't really get to take advantage a lot of saving the tires. But I really don't know where I could have gained 6 seconds on those guys. Maybe lost 3 or 4 seconds being easy coming to pit road, but I got to hand it to Brian and Jeff. I don't know how they made those tires last as long as they did, as hard as they were running.
Yeah, these races are tough when they go green flag all the way, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I start out every race assuming the race is going to go green flag. When you start think about strategy, and knew the best strategy was pit after 42 laps. But like I said, I just couldn't start the pace those guys were running and be able to maintain at the end. So I was faster at the end, but I just couldn't make up the gap that they were able to put on me in the beginning.
Well, Tyler, it was great to have one of the hometown boys actually get themselves on the podium tonight. So you're winning, buddy. You beat all the fellow Carolina drivers. Who do you want to thank for this big one tonight?
Well, I want to thank Todd Kirkwood at Kirkwood Transportation, and I got to thank my teammates at Unacceptable Racing. Me and Tommy both had a really good race. raced each other really clean. But yeah, I mean, Charlotte is one of my favorite racetracks, one of my best racetracks. And after what happened last week at Iowa, I needed a good finish. So this felt really good. Only thing I do is I wish I could have got Ward at halfway, and I needed halfway to be one lap sooner.
Well, I'll tell you what you did get. You did get up 2 spots, actually, in the fall standings. You passed Brody Hayes and Thomas George and leapfrogged them. So now you're 5th in the fall standings, and there could still be some more ahead for you. So we wish you the best at Talladega next weekend. We'll see you then, my friend.
Yeah, I'll see you then. I'm looking forward to Talladega as well. My team, we have a pretty good record there, so might have a chance at a win there. We'll see how it goes.
All right, and our thanks to Tyler Dalton, the number 19 Chevrolet there from the Carolinas. And, well, Justin, a great race this evening, but we want to tell everybody, hey, come see us again in just a few days for the Premier Racing League on Sunday night, October 22nd at 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when the American Pool Supply Truck Series heads to those high banks of Talladega Motor Speedway for 57 laps of sling-shotting excitement. You don't want to miss that. Now, we would like to thank the drivers and the organizers of the Premier Racing League for coming here tonight and putting on a tremendous show. I want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts and that we put right here on the screen for you to check out. We also want to thank Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how you can get a hold of them and more of their great work. And I believe Eric Ekholm has got some new tunes out right now, so you may want to go out and check his website out. For more of their great work, like I said, contact them. I want to thank the team today, because without them, there is no me, and this thing just doesn't go. Justin Prince at my side, Joe Peak back there twisting and tweaking the dials, and the great, much sought after Dougie Beard taking care of those camera sets for us. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. We have a massive archive of races there and races that are coming up. You can also check us out on social media, Twitter at GSR Channel, or on Facebook. If you just type in Global Sim Racing Channel, you'll find us, I promise. We also have upcoming races on the screen for other series that we've got coming up here over the next several days. So check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. We'll be back here tomorrow on GSRC for AOR in the afternoon for a little Friday afternoon racing from over across the pond with those guys. We're at Road America. You don't want to miss that. Now, until next time, though, we ask you to please race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.